And then we felt led by the Lord to come to Kampala. And we came and started the work. And it took off very well. But after about, I think we started that work in April. And in early June, I think in May, something happened. Someone said something had been said about them. And someone said, no, I never said that. And then someone said, I was there when she said that. You let him come here and we talk. Things started like that. And they expanded. And they expanded. And it reached a point that it began to affect our families. Families that had been staying together had to break up. Where someone says, I can no longer stay with you. If that's what you are. I mean, it looked like a small thing, but it was growing bigger and bigger. One night I was praying about it, and suddenly it dawned upon me. This is going to break up the ministry. And it's going to go far and wide, and it's going to bring a lot of shame on the name of the Lord. That is what I feared most. I cried to God and said, whatever it takes to stop that happening, Lord, I will do it. Please guide me. And I felt a leading in my heart that I should take a fast of 30 days on liquids only. I accepted it. Then I went to church because we were doing in that place we did daily services. So I say to everyone, I'm going to hit two birds with one stone. The Lord has asked me to fast for 30 days without any food. So I'm going to do this. Starting on Monday, I'm going to be teaching on fasting. And I encourage everybody who feels inspired to join the fast with me. So that I'll be doing my fast, but I'll also be teaching others to fast. And people were excited. They began to register. When I went home that night, it was a Friday night, as I was praying, the Spirit of the Lord spoke to me and said, don't start teaching until I'm through with you. Don't start teaching until I'm through with you. I thought, Lord, but I've already told the people. And he said, you can tell them again. So on Monday, I went and said, look, I was a bit hasty. I promised you that I'm going to be teaching, but the Lord told me not to start teaching until He's through with me. So when He's through with me, I'll come and start the teaching. And do you know what happened? He was not through with me until the last day, the 30th day. So I never did any teaching. And this is one of the most interesting fasts I've ever taken. The very first day I started, God began to show me things. Showed me visions. Showed me things I heard but did not interpret.
Suddenly
I realized we were under attack, that the enemy was infiltrating our camp. And as you know, the scripture says, he does not come but to steal, to kill, and to destroy. So I now cried out to the Lord, don't let him fulfill his plans. Please show me what I need to do to save this work. And he did. And he did. He showed me what to do with each of the people that I was dealing with. By the way, all these people involved in this saga were leaders, were our leaders. So the whole leadership was involved in this confusion. So I prayed hard for each one. And the Lord answered prayer and showed me what to do here, what to say there. And by the 14th day, I could see the whole picture. And I had answers. I was excited. I thought, I think I need to break this fast so that I can go and obey what the Lord has shown me and solve this whole thing. But I had made a vow. So I went to the Lord and said, Lord, will you release me from this fast? Will you release me from the vow I made? I want to go and put into effect what you have shown me. And what I heard back shocked me. He said, is that all you care about? Just your ministry? To go and put it right? Is that all you can see? And sincerely, I didn't understand that question. I thought, what else should I see? And then he said, if all you can see and all you have eyes for is the calling on your life and the ministry that comes out of it, I want you to know today, you will never fulfill it. And that was like a slap in the face. He said, what? I had given up so much to pursue this ministry. I gave up things that should have been made my life successful. I gave up a position in a very promising company where I was executive director. And I was like, God, I don't understand. Then he said to me, what I called you to do and what I entrusted you with is so small compared to what I'm doing in the world. It is just a scratch on the surface. So if that is all you see, you miss the big picture. And when you do that, you build where you are not supposed to build. You trespass your boundaries. You build in a way that your work is incompatible with the bigger picture of what I'm doing. Now I hope some pastors and church leaders and ministry leaders are hearing this. I said, Lord, teach me. And he said to me, okay, do you know what I'm doing with your nation, Uganda? I said, no. He said, okay, tell me. Do you know what I'm doing with the nations of the world? I said, no. And he said, if you don't know what your master is doing in the nations, how can you be part of the Great Commission? Because the Great Commission is about nations. And you don't know what the Lord is doing in the nations. So what are you doing? I was confused. And the Lord said, I allowed the confusion to come in your ministry, that I may draw you before me. I said, Lord, teach me. And he said, then continue fasting. You remember my question was, will you release me from the vow of 30 days? So it's showing me all that you have been dealing with, I brought it. Now you are happy you have the solutions. Let us now start on the real reason why I wanted you before me. Wow. I said, Lord, so what do I do now? He said, continue fasting until the end of your vow. And in the remaining days, go back and read the Bible like you've never read it before. You think you know my word, but you don't. Go back in humility and I'll open my word to you. And as you go, I want you to look for one word. Nations. Tell your neighbor, nations. I said, yes, Lord. And I started reading from Genesis. And I noticed, the first thing I noticed, the word nations does not appear in the Bible until Genesis chapter 10. From Genesis 1 to 9, there is no mention of nations. And today I will not go there, but why? Why did he find it necessary to work on nations? Because nations started with Noah. The three sons of Noah. Ham, Japheth, and Shem. Actually, in Genesis chapter 10, verse 32, it says, out of these, all the nations of the world spread out after the floods. The nations were not there before the floods. That's another topic for another day. Because when you understand why did he choose to start working with nations, that opens your eyes to what human nature struggles with. But today let me continue with what I started. I realized In Genesis 10, he talks about nations. Genesis 11, he talks about the building of the Tower of Babel. All the people on earth were of one tongue. But at Babel, as you know the story, they were divided into their different tongues. And they were also divided into their different territories. And they became also different ethnic groups, which are the characteristics of a nation. But we shall come back to that later. Then in Genesis chapter 12, God says to Abraham, God is choosing a man to start the journey of redeeming all of mankind. And he says to him, come out of your father's house. Come out of your people. Come out of your land. I will take you to a land that flows with milk and honey. And I will make you into a church, a ministry, a company, a republic. Because all of us know what it means to be called by the Lord. And when the Lord calls you, what do? You start a ministry. You plant a congregation. You start missions. Because that's what we understand, how to translate God's calling into action. But God says, come Abraham, I'm going to use you. What was he going to use him for? To bless all the families and the nations of the world. But in order to do that, he said, I'll first have to make you into a nation. And then out of that nation, all the people